I think we overhyping this victory, you know, in a sense where nobody picked Xander to win. Defense, reflexes, all that, But the only thing that I can say is I'm 10 steps ahead of him. Like I'm 10 steps ahead of him in smarts. And I think, that's where he'd get in trouble with, coming straight forward, trying to box me or trying to, think shot for shot.
Terence Crawford has responded directly to Jaron "Boots" Ennis after the younger fighter challenged him. Crawford's stance is clear. He doesn't think Ennis has what it takes to defeat him under any circumstances.
Knowing when to exchange, when not to exchange. When to move, when to hold. Like if you watched when he got real hurt, real bad, he didn't know when to hold. And we all yelling like, grab him. He's right there to be grabbed.
Following his stoppage victory over Xander Zayas, Jaron "Boots" Ennis spoke with plenty of confidence. He made it clear that he was willing to face any of the top contenders at 154 pounds, including Terence Crawford, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Sebastian Fundora, or any other major name in the division. Crawford, however, had a very different response. Rather than praising Ennis without hesitation, Bud dismissed the hype with a laugh, suggesting he noticed weaknesses in the performance that many fans appeared to overlook.
Keep one thing in mind. I don't think no one picked Xander to win.
No.
And I love Xander and he's a great kid, but no one, like, I think we overhyping this victory, in a sense where nobody picked Xander to win. Everybody was kind of like, okay, he's in over his head and it's a matter of time before Boots catch him and end the fight. But what round will it be?
Right.
Now, I think it's going to be different when he goes up against a Fundora or a Virgil, because if one of those guys get him hurt, like Xander did, I don't think it's going to be the same outcome.
That's what has fueled the growing tension between the two. While Boots showcased his power, athleticism, and ability to finish the fight, there were still moments when he was caught with clean shots. Crawford and his supporters point to those exchanges as evidence that Ennis isn't prepared to deal with a boxer who possesses Bud's level of timing, composure, and ring intelligence.
Like I said, man, of course, everybody know the competitive nature in myself, but I don't worry about coming back to prove anything, because me coming back and proving something to people that it doesn't matter, what never matters, for that being, they would say, oh, well, he only fought Xander, or they'll come up with some type of excuse, but to credit Boots, like, he's a tremendous talent and he's no walk in the park for no one, so he's a threat to anyone that he stepped foot in the ring with,
Crawford didn't stop at simply laughing off the challenge. He went a step further by saying he believes he's far ahead of Boots in terms of overall ability. Remarks like that carry more weight than a routine response, making it clear that Crawford sees a significant gap between them.
I want to be the Terence Crawford, Floyd Mayweather level of boxing. I need Josh Kelly. I need Fundora. I need Ortiz. We need names, Boots. None of that tune-up. None of that. If you want to be one of the best, you got to go out there and get it and be the best. Get back in the ring by 2027. Come on. If you really want to be one of them boys, I see he loves to talk. I see that. But you got to just show us in the ring. The resumes, that was the beginning of the resume.
When Crawford says he has nothing left to prove, his message is straightforward. He believes a fight with him would benefit Boots far more than it would benefit himself. In Crawford's view, Ennis is still working toward earning legendary status, while he feels his own accomplishments have already established his place in the sport.
I haven't fought this guy, and when I do fight these guys, or when I do step up, then it's always an excuse. So now that 38 years old, about to be 39, I don't have nothing to prove. I didn't win everything there is to win. I hope that Jaron have half of the career that I had, or surpass me. If he surpassed me, I'm gonna be rooting for him. I'm gonna be giving him his props. I'm not the type of fighter that, want to see him fail. I want to see him succeed. I want to congratulate him. I want to see him, make it to the Hall of Fame and, congratulate him and things like that, But when you say, oh, he would knock Terence Crawford out, or Terence Crawford ducked him, or Terence Crawford ran, and that's why Terence Crawford retired, it pisses me off sometimes, but at the same time, it's just the game.
You know the truth. Yeah, you know the truth.
Crawford also emphasized that he doesn't believe he has anything left to prove inside the ring. That perspective completely shifts the conversation. Boots Ennis can continue calling him out. Fans can debate how the matchup would play out, and many can argue that Bud should return to settle the discussion. However, Crawford views the situation differently. From his standpoint, he has already captured world championships, defeated top-level opponents, succeeded across multiple weight classes, and created a legacy that many fighters are still striving to achieve.
Get easy, big dog. You got anything in closing? Anything we didn't have?
Nah. I'm definitely a fan of boxing. I'm gonna be in Australia. I'm gonna be.
Yeah, I know you're gonna be over there. Yeah.
I'm gonna be supporting Spence, rooting him on.
Yeah.
I just like to support, fighters in his own right. I done been in Boots' locker room supporting him. So it's just crazy how the tables turn. When people get to a certain plateau and they forget about things like that.
We picking Earl. I'm picking.
Of course.
Of course. Sean and Sean.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sean better.
We gotta see.
Wow.
Boots didn't appear to be affected by Crawford's claim that he has nothing left to prove. From Ennis' perspective, that response comes across as a cautious way to avoid the matchup. Crawford can insist he's well ahead of him, laugh at the challenge on social media, and point to everything he's accomplished. But Boots sees the situation differently. If Crawford is truly convinced that Ennis has no chance of beating him, then Boots believes the best way to settle it is by stepping back into the ring. His message is simple. Crawford can't continue talking about retirement while also acting as though the outcome of a potential fight is already certain. In Ennis' view, Bud should either prove his confidence in the ring or stop treating him as if he's not worthy of the opportunity.
I ain't worried about retired. We focus on tasking and taking over this division. We ain't worried about retired fighters.
Yeah, y'all keep on throwing Terence up. Terence, he retired. Leave Terence alone. Let him do what he's supposed to do. Y'all may have fun.
Shannon Sharp, Chad Akasinko Johnson, and Joe Johnson all share the view that Boots may be rushing into a potential showdown with Terence Crawford. In their opinion, Crawford still holds the advantage in several key areas, including experience, ring intelligence, patience, timing, and his overall ability to adapt during a fight. While Boots brings youth, power, and an exciting style, they believe Crawford has already demonstrated his greatness by consistently defeating elite competition at the highest level. For that reason, they were not prepared to pick Ennis over Crawford. From their perspective, Bud remains the superior fighter. They believe his ability to anticipate situations, make adjustments during a bout, and capitalize on an opponent's mistakes sets him apart from the rest. Even though they recognize Boots as a serious threat, they feel Crawford is still operating on a level above him at this stage.
I don't know if Bud would fight him like he fought Canelo. Bud is a lot smarter than you think. Bud, people sleep on Bud. I don't know why. I mean, he's the only man that's unified 3 divisions. And you don't see guys go from 140 to 68. Jump 3, basically one fight at 54. Basically, he jumped 3 divisions. 3. Come on now. But I don't know. I don't know if Bud's like, look, man, I done made money. Now it's time for me to sit back and let the other fellas have it. He a 4-division champ. He's a 3-division unified champ. Let that sink in. In the 4-belt era, he got 3 divisions in which he had all 4.
Rick Glazer also weighed in as fans continued calling for a showdown between Boots Ennis and Terence Crawford, shifting the discussion away from hype and back toward business. In his view, the key issues are financial reality and what actually makes sense for everyone involved. Glazer shared his thoughts on X, writing, "For those dreaming about a Boots Ennis versus Terence Crawford fight, besides Bud has said he's retired, who is going to pay Crawford the kind of money to destroy Ennis? That Crawford could make for a just as easy Canelo rematch, which would pay way north of 50 mil. Think about that." Vinny's Corner also joined the conversation by sharing its own reaction on X, posting, "NGL, Bud Crawford stops Boots Ennis. Y'all better stop calling for that man." That response reflects how some observers interpreted the situation following Boots' victory over Xander Zayas. They acknowledge Ennis' talent, power, and the impact he has made since moving up in weight, but they still believe Terence Crawford operates on an entirely different level. In their opinion, Crawford's timing, patience, counterpunching, defensive skills, and ability to make adjustments during a fight would create major problems for Boots. From that perspective, Ennis' decision to call out Crawford is viewed less as confidence and more as a risky challenge. They believe a matchup with Bud could expose weaknesses in Ennis' game and quickly quiet the growing excitement surrounding him. Meanwhile, Lou DiBella offered what many considered a more measured opinion on the debate surrounding a potential Boots Ennis Terence Crawford fight. He shared his thoughts on X, writing, "Right now, meaning right now, Bud Crawford unretires and he beats Boots. Just saying, agent inactivity helped no one. So, if Bud wants to make that point, up to him. If he stays retired, he should do it now. Boots will not get worse and hasn't hit his prime. Boots' performance was a perfect launching pad for a big fight, and his offense captured imaginations. And if you think his remaining vulnerabilities weren't completely obvious to Bud and Bomac, you are tripping. They were obvious to me and you, as good as Ennis is and will be." Lou DiBella's response stood out because he didn't dismiss Boots or downplay his performance. Instead, he praised Ennis for putting on an entertaining display and acknowledged that his offensive skills impressed a lot of people. At the same time, DiBella suggested that Crawford and his longtime trainer, Bomac, likely noticed the same defensive openings that many viewers picked up on during the fight. His overall point was clear. If the fight happened today, he would favor Crawford. However, he also believes delaying the matchup could work in Ennis' favor, since Boots is still developing, continues to improve with every fight, and has not yet reached his peak as a fighter. Boxing Massacre also weighed in, saying, "Terence Crawford is an OG savage. Boots is overrated. Bud would have ended his career. That fraud Jaron Ennis should never mention Bud name in his life." That response highlights how strongly many people continue to support Crawford in this debate. For those fans, Boots' stoppage victory over Xander Zayas wasn't enough to convince them he is prepared to face Bud. Instead of focusing only on the result, they paid attention to the moments where Ennis was caught with clean shots and the defensive gaps that appeared during the fight. As a result, while many of Boots' supporters viewed the performance as a major statement, Boxing Massacre interpreted it as evidence that there are still areas that need improvement. In that view, Crawford's experience, ring awareness, and technical ability would allow him to take advantage of those weaknesses. That's why they believe Ennis should be cautious about continuing to call out Bud, arguing that a fight at this stage could hurt the momentum and excitement surrounding him. Meanwhile, Ray Jackson offered his own perspective on the discussion, saying, "Boots Ennis will beat TF out of Crawford." Ray Jackson's comments offered a different perspective from many of the analysts and fans who believe Crawford would comfortably handle Ennis. In his opinion, Boots presents a genuine challenge rather than an easy opponent. Jackson believes Ennis has the combination of size, speed, youth, power, and self-belief needed to give but a difficult fight. From his point of view, Ennis isn't mentioning Crawford's name simply to attract attention. He truly believes Boots has what it takes to win. That's what makes Jackson's opinion stand out in this discussion. While one side argues that Crawford's experience, ring IQ, and technical skills would be the deciding factors, Jackson sees Ennis as the younger fighter who is still improving and has the potential to make the veteran look his age. As the debate continued, Terence Crawford responded to the growing conversation about Boots Ennis with a brief statement that left plenty of room for interpretation. Crawford said, "I'm going to keep my comments to myself, but you all get it, I hope. Crawford's response didn't come across as complimentary. Instead, it suggested that he noticed details in Boots' performance that he chose not to discuss publicly. Although Ennis earned the victory, there were also moments that raised questions. He absorbed a few clean shots, appeared a little too comfortable at times, and left openings that a seasoned fighter like Crawford would likely recognize immediately. Because of that, Bud's decision to keep his thoughts to himself spoke volumes. Rather than giving a detailed breakdown, he seemed content to let fans watch the fight and form their own opinions. The impression was that Crawford believes Ennis is a dangerous opponent, but one whose weaknesses are already visible to an experienced champion. Shawn Porter also shared his perspective on a potential matchup between Boots Ennis and Terence Crawford, drawing from his own experience of facing Bud in the ring. Porter has plenty of respect for Ennis' abilities, pointing to his speed, size, switch-hitting style, and creative offense. Even so, he believes Crawford presents a completely different challenge. According to Porter, Bud's greatest strengths go beyond natural talent. He combines patience, intelligence, toughness, and an exceptional ability to make adjustments as the fight unfolds. Having experienced those qualities firsthand, Porter's opinion is based on personal experience rather than speculation. For that reason, he isn't quick to pick Ennis over Crawford. While Boots may have the advantages of youth and explosiveness, Porter believes Crawford has repeatedly shown that he can adapt, disrupt an opponent's rhythm, and neutralize their biggest strengths. Against a fighter with Bud's level of experience and ring awareness, even a single mistake can completely change the direction of a fight.
With speed and power.
I just think
and creativity.
You
just don't see that. That's what this would have been.
Yep.
100%.
A plus versus A.
That's A plus versus A. I like that.
Terrence just a little too much and will catch him.
Yeah.
And buzz Boots. And
yeah.
I think that'll. I think Terrence stops him.
It's such a special fight because you got two alpha males in the ring that are true alpha males. You know what I mean? I was an alpha male until I got in the ring with that dude.
It just
that dude, like, it was like the more he wasn't allowing me to do what he wasn't, and it was like, damn, okay, well then, you know.
You had one of them in eights and the other in sparring?
I don't know, because that dude hit me with a right hand in the sparring, and I was like, I was like, yo, that was...
According to Boxing Ego, Terence Crawford has no reason to come out of retirement for a fight with Boots Ennis. In his view, the situation is straightforward. Crawford doesn't need this matchup as much as Ennis does. Boots is the one pursuing a defining name on his resume and trying to prove he belongs among the sport's elite. From that perspective, Crawford has already accomplished what many fighters are still working toward. He has built an outstanding resume, won some of boxing's biggest fights, and established a legacy that allows him to be selective about the opportunities he accepts. Because of that, Boxing Ego believes Bud will only consider a return if the fight truly makes sense for him.
Terence Bud Crawford makes it official, rejects the notion that he could come out of retirement to face Jaron Boots Ennis, stating he really has nothing to prove. Wishes Boots Ennis well on his journey, but he ain't coming out of retirement for no dang Jaron.
That's why Boxing Ego's argument resonates with many fans. While plenty of people want to see Crawford face Boots, and Ennis continues to call for the matchup, but is no longer at a stage in his career where he feels obligated to respond to every rising contender seeking a career-defining opportunity. In Boxing Ego's view, if Crawford decides to return, it would have to be for a truly significant reason, either a blockbuster payday or a legacy-defining fight that genuinely gives him a reason to compete again.
I do notice that there's a lot of times where Crawford, he's very passive-aggressive. Like, you could tell he got this far in his career being a competitor and being very competitive, not wanting to lose, because you would hear that message and you would be like, all right, he's showing mad love to the youngin, to Jaron Boots Ennis, who actually, he just turned like 29, I believe. He had a birthday. But you hear that and you're like, all right, Crawford was being cool. But then you look at his social media last night and he had like a snarky type of tweet that everybody knows was pretty much sneak dissing Jaron Boots Ennis, Like, I got a lot to say, but I'm going to just keep it to myself. So Crawford is a competitor, and I noticed that he does a lot of passive-aggressive stuff where yesterday night after the fight, you're kind of like alluding to, insinuating, and subliminally getting at Boots. But now you're like, I wish him well. People are all, you know, you're being the bigger person. And then also, in the same interview, he said this, play the clip.
I don't worry about coming back to prove anything, because me coming back and proving something to people that it doesn't matter.
Oshawa Foster also shared one of the strongest endorsements of Jaron Boots, Ennis, following his victory. In Foster's opinion, that performance has earned Ennis a place in the pound-for-pound discussion. His comments highlight just how significant the win was. Foster wasn't simply complimenting Boots for an impressive showing. He emphasized the quality of the opponent. Xander Zayas entered the fight undefeated, full of confidence, and widely regarded as a championship-caliber fighter. Rather than narrowly getting past him, Ennis systematically took control of the fight before securing the stoppage. Because of that, Foster believes Ennis has done enough to be mentioned among boxing's elite. A victory of that caliber can reshape the way a fighter is viewed, elevating him from a promising talent to someone who deserves recognition as one of the sport's top competitors.
Jaron Boots Ennis to that. Jaron Boots Ennis has now put himself, I think, into the pound-for-pound conversation. Like, without doubt for me, he's now in the top 10 pound-for-pound, and I need to think very quickly about what number he sits at. Because yesterday, he beat an unbeaten champion and stopped him. I repeat myself. He beat an unbeaten champion and stopped him. Didn't go to points, wasn't controversial, beat him up. And I don't say that lightly because Xander Zayas threw back. There was a time in that fight, I think it was round 3, where Xander Zayas started throwing back, and I even was on my Instagram story. I was like, okay, we have a fight. Because the crowd started to get into it. It was the first time in a long time. I feel like we've seen Boots hurt, never really shaken, but you see Boots get connected. But Boots kind of took a back seat, like, okay, this guy's starting to land on me. And I was like, okay, this is it. Boots, though, is almost a bit, I'm trying to think of the fighter. Nigel Benn-esque for our UK viewers. When you hit him, he wants to hit you back. Almost a bit like a child in the playground. Like, there is no, okay, you're hitting me, I'm going to go on the defense and run away. No, fire with fire. And that was almost Xander Zayas' undoing, because Boots just hits too hard, he's too strong, he's too fast, and ultimately he's just too good. He's too good. Is that a couple of good performances?
Before you go, be sure to check out the other videos currently on your screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.